Hello again everyone, Ken from Whittling Woods back again with part 3 of our little tutorial on carving the face. The last two videos, a couple weeks ago we started with the nose, last week we did the mouth, and today we're going to, this video will be titled How to Ruin Your Whittle by Carving an Eye. No, obviously I'm only joking. I know a lot of people don't like whittling the eyes, they get intimidated by whittling the eyes, and we're going to try to do this in a simple step-by-step way that hopefully most people will be able to do. And I think it's doable for most beginners. And if you're following along, you've done the nose and you've done the mouth. Now the fun part, the eyes. And the eyes are fun, but you know, don't worry about it. And if you're doing these, practice. Do whittles like this on blocks of wood. Get yourself ready to go and just have fun doing them. You can use these, like I said in the past, for wood spirits or for little whittles, whatever you want to do. They're fun little things to whittle away at. We're going to be using the same block of wood in case you're just watching for the first time. The whole block with 3 3/4 inches, 1.5 inches wide. These we purchased at those big box hobby stores. That's it, just basic basswood. Get yourself a medium-sized whittling knife. I'm using this one from North Bay Forge, excuse me. And the blade itself is about 1 inch. I believe it's about 1.25 inches long. That's, to me, it's considered a medium-sized blade. 1.5 inches to about 1 inch is a medium-sized blade. So that's what I'm using on this. We've only used this one knife for the whole whittle, and that's really all you need. Like I said, we marked our thing. We're doing the whittle here in the first 3 inches of this block that I said was 3 3/4 inches long. So this is 3 inches here between my fingers. We divided it up into threes. First line, 1 inch down, was where we're going to do the bridge of the nose in the beginning of the eye area. Next inch down was the bottom of the nose, and then the last inch was the chin. We divided this area between the nose and the chin, and we put the mouth. We divided that in half. So those are basic. Again, if your block of wood is not the same size as this, just scale your measurements accordingly. It's very simple. Use the rule of thirds for most things. But I'm going to get everything set up, and I will be right back. The way I like to start this is to deepen this area right in here. So again, we're going to take this step by step. This video is probably going to be a little bit longer than the last two, only because I'm going to go slow and like I said, step by step for people who are beginners and interested in watching me do this and maybe learning and modifying it to their own whittling ways. We're going to put our knife right against the nose and at the bottom of the eye. But you know what? Let me step back a little bit. You want to get this area here, the lines that you have here, and here, pretty much on the same, maybe angled slightly upward. You can change this around a bit, but the distance from here to here and here to here should be pretty equivalent. And this plane in here should be, the side plane in here should be also, try to match that up as best you can here. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be removing a lot of the wood, but it'll just help things out. So again, first step, let's go in here with our knife and deepen that area in there and that area in there, and then come back and just take that little chunk of wood. You can see we deepened. This is kind of the deepest part on your face, and then we're going to go here, flip it around, and go here, and remove that little triangle of wood. So we just deepened both sides a little bit. All right. So there you go. That's kind of step one. What I do now is I'll draw where I'm going to put the eye itself. And I'm using a Sharpie. I would recommend you use some type of pencil to do this and not a Sharpie. I'm using a Sharpie because it just shows up better on videos. What I do is I come in sort of where the nose, not all the way down to the inner part, but kind of a little bit away from that deep area. And I'll just put a little line, and I'll go kind of up at an angle like so from there. And then I'm trying to mimic it on the other side the same way. I'll do that as well. So kind of like that. All right. And then I'll come down from both of these lines. Just making a little triangle here. It's kind of like a right triangle if you look at it from that angle. All right, so we got two little triangles in there. Then we're going to come in here, we're going to put our knife right at that line over there and just kind of push it in a little bit. So we're just making a little bit of a stop cut in there. Okay, so you want to go right in there, push it in a little bit. So you're making a little cut. You can kind of see I'm not going overly deep. Then I'm going to come from this side where I just end it. I'm going to push my knife in that way. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down to there, right to where the that line ends over there. That's it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back in here. We're going to make a cut up to that line. So we're just going to come in here and remove a little bit of wood up to that line. And this will determine how deep your eyes will be. Your eye, you know, the kind of the eye socket right in here. So then this kind of, you can do it in multiple passes if you're more comfortable. Kind of like so. So you just remove a little bit of wood, and we might deepen that a little bit more. Then I come in here. We made that one line already. I'm going to make another little stop cut right up against the nose, and I'm going to kind of put a stop cut in right over there. And then I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to remove that chunk of wood above that side, right down in there, like so. All right, so we basically have a little triangle sitting out there now. And you can kind of come back in here, like I'm looking at this thinking, well, you know what, it should be a little bit deeper. So let's come in here and just deepen it a little bit, like so. Come back the other way and pull out that little bit of wood. Just, you know, you kind of want to set those back a little bit more. And you can kind of see where I'm at right there. All right. And as I go, I might decide to deepen it even more, but that'll give you a basic thing. And then what we want to do is we want to take off the top of that triangle right here. This we don't want a point like that in there, so we want to kind of nip that off. So kind of come almost straight across here, so just like that, just to nip off that pointy end. And kind of bring it down. What we're doing here is creating the way I look at it is that this part in here, this part right in here is the eyeball itself, the iris itself, and this is the eyelid. Above it's the eyelid. So if you look at it from the side, you can kind of see what I'm referring to. So that's essentially all you really need to do. And then I kind of come back in here, and this is where I start. Maybe, you know, if I want to deepen it a little bit more, I can do that. Clean it up a little bit. Don't worry about getting it all on the first pass. If you have to do it, you know, have to keep deepening it. I'm just kind of showing you how you might want to go about it. Bring it around. Just, you know, make sure you want to again, as I mentioned in many of my videos, we're defining different planes in the whittle here. So now we're defining the eye itself. So there you go. You just kind of have that little chunk of wood on that side, just like so. And then that's it. I sometimes come in here and I'll, you know, maybe flatten that out, remove my pencil lines, whatever the case may be. Sometimes what I like to do also is start to put a bit of a curve. So in other words, the curve like this, round it kind of like that in here. So the way to do that is just to kind of come in here and start rounding, taking a little wood out of on each side, just moving it back. It doesn't have to be a lot. There you go. So that's part one. Part one. The first thing, and we're going to do literally the same thing on this side over here. I'm going to stick my knife in the wood at that first cut we made, just like so. And then I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to put my knife in the wood right down here. Make a stop cut right in there. You can kind of see how that went. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. We're going to come in here, right at that eye, and we're going to cut down to that stop cut that we made. So the same thing we did over here. We're going to come over here. We're just going to carefully cut down to that. And since it's a small little piece of wood here, don't go too hard, and take smaller cuts if you need to. You don't have to do it all at once. And then for this side, again, we're going to make a little, kind of a little relieving cut over here by the nose. You can kind of see right there where I made that cut. And then we're going to come in here and remove this chunk of wood right in here. Just like so. So again, we're going to be left with a bit of a triangle over there. And then you can, like we did on the other side, deepen it to whatever level you want. You can kind of see. We're left with a little triangle on that side as well. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll nip off the apex of that triangle. So right about there. You can just take that right off. And then start to round it out a bit. That's all. So you've got basically a little bit of wood to work with in there. And then like we did over here, you can kind of start to round the curvature of the eye itself. You don't have to do a lot. I mean, these are little whittles, so they're not that... if you want to do a real detailed eye, then there's probably lots of ways you can go about it. You can use gouges and everything else and really get in there and form irises, and really we're doing basic whittling 101 here. That's all. I'm not going to go whole crazy on eyes because I don't know that it's absolutely necessary anyway. I think if you get the basics down in there, you should be good. So you kind of see we left some wood, we relieved basically some wood. And again, it's defining planes. Well, now we have some planes that we're going to use for the upper plane. Here would be the eyelid in here, and then this down in here would be the the eyeball, the iris, all that kind of stuff. All right. So that's no, I mean, I guess for all intent and purposes, you could leave it like that and call it good, and paint this in here like a white color. Put the top part as a flesh tone. You could certainly do that. But why don't we form a bit of a lower lid as well? We're going to use the same principle. We're just going to basically come in here, right over here. You can kind of see I'm at the base of the eye in there. You can see where I started. And I'm going to kind of come in a little triangle type thing again, and we're just going to meet it over there, kind of like that. All right. And then let me clean this out a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We're going to come in. I don't go all the way up into the corner. I come slightly below that. And then kind of come down. And then just bring it up. And if they don't exactly match, then now's your opportunity to get them exact. This one looks a little bit bigger. That's why I wouldn't recommend using a Sharpie necessarily on these, because it's a little harder to whittle away the Sharpie colored wood. But that's okay. This is a learning thing here. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a stop cut. We're going to come right into that corner, but not right up where the eye that part we just whittled out is, we're going to come slightly below that. I don't know if you can kind of see where I'm at there. And put a little stop cut in there. And then we can kind of come around here, and you could, like so, put a little stop cut right there as well. So we just basically, we're following along our line. And then I kind of take a little bit of a relieving cut along the nose over here, and I just kind of carefully, again, just like we did on the upper part, it's the same idea. Like I said, I'm trying to keep these as simple, but leave you enough detail that it reads well as an eye. Although some may not think so. But I think it's a good starting point, and you can certainly then go further and do more if you choose. So now you can kind of see we have a bit of a lower lid on there, and then I like to round that as well. I want to make sure that this lower lid, this area over here, I don't want it to go out beyond the upper lid. So I always want to make sure that the upper lid is out beyond that. It should look like it's tucking under that lid. Right in that area. You don't want this lid here where this comes down to go beyond that. Sometimes I'll just kind of nip the end of that off. It's very small, just to, again, make it look like it's going kind of beneath it. You play around with it, kind of like so. So now you see we got a bit of an upper and lower lid. We got an eyeball in there, and it's really not that hard to do. If you take your time, you just practice these type of things, you'll get it down. You don't have to do it in one shot. If you again, practice it. That's all you need to do, and play around with it. If you don't get it right, do it again. These are not. If you're, I'm sure the people watching these videos are not whittling to for competitive purposes. They're willing to have fun, and that's what this should be. Make sure you're having fun when you're doing this. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Again, we're just going to stick our knife in the wood, putting our stop cuts in. And again, I know this is repetitive, but that's the whole point of these video series, to make it simple and easy for people who are just getting into it and maybe want to learn, and or maybe want to do the face in some capacity on their figure, on their wood spirit. And we're teaching that. So we just did the same thing here. We cut on our line there, and now we're cutting up to that. And rounding it out. That's all. So that's all you're doing. You're basically relieving a little bit of wood in there, just to make it look like a bit of a bulge for a lower eye lid. So the next part we're going to want to do is to form the which I think is an integral part to the eye, is the eyebrow itself. So what I'd like to do is I look at the forehead, and I see the slope of the nose is basically here. So I'm going to continue that same type of slope on the forehead. So I start cutting back the forehead here, and I work my way around, and I'm following the shape of the eye, because this area in here, all this area in here, well, maybe not right in here, but this area in here will be the eyebrow, and we're going to mound up the wood so we can whittle a little bit of an eyebrow in there, if you so choose. Some people just paint them in, that's fine too. But I consider this all part of the eye as far as I'm concerned. We don't need such a big chunk in the middle there, so we can whittle that back. You can see I'm following the general shape. I got the nose here, and I'm getting the forehead with a kind of a similar slope. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to. Now you could give it some kind of, just do it like this. Paint that area in there, whittle it to whatever depth you want, and then whittle it to or paint it to the color you're looking for. But I like to form them a little bit more than that, and get rid of the unibrow kind of look. Although that may be a look you're going for, so that's cool too. Is you just split it here. You come right in the middle there. You can see where the middle of the nose is. Just put a little cut in there and bring it down almost to the level of the nose like that, and then just come up on either side and cut that out. All right. So now we have a basically a starting point for the one end of our eyebrow, and then we just follow that right around. We're going to come over on top of that, cut down, just follow it right around. That's all. So now you're forming, as you can see here, a bit of an area. Again, think of it in terms of leaving mounds of wood, planes of wood, to eventually maybe put little strands of like hair into, or just paint it, you know. So there you go. We kind of formed the. I like my characters to have fairly prominent eyebrows too. I think that just looks good on these type of figures. I like the way it looks. Some people may not. Again, you'll modify it to whatever level you like. And then again, I'm just following right around here. I'm not doing anything overly complicated here. As you can see, these are not. We're taking this. We're making this as easy as possible. That I think if you try it a few times, if you've never whittled before and you try it a few times, you'll have it down. And you'll do probably a much better job than I'm doing. But because I think most people can handle this. And then that's kind of, there you go. You sort of have a look of some really big bushy eyebrows. Again, I like to leave a little extra wood, but sometimes what I want to do is I don't want this to come down like that, so I'll take out little notches on the bottom over here, just on each area above the nose, just to kind of make it look like they're, you know, like they're more up. Hair coming around there. And again, I like the look of having them kind of big and prominent, maybe a bit bushy, because I just think that looks good on these characters. And again, it's personal preference. You can kind of leave it like that and paint it, you know, if you want. But again, we just left some wood in there, so just to play with. That's all you need to do. But I'll show you real quick if you're interested. Just to form little hair in here. I like to round this out just a little bit more. Just kind of get them round. A couple ways to go about it. You can sit here and take little kind of texturing, make facets in here and do that. That looks good on both sides here. And sometimes when you paint it, you can do a dry brushing and it might look pretty good that way too. I've done it like that. If you're doing like Santa Claus figures or wizards, what have you. There's sometimes just that little texturing. If you get little facets in here, and then if you do a dry brushing technique where you paint the whole thing one color and you go back with a very dry brush with maybe a little white paint, it'll pick up just the and you just kind of brush it across. I did a video on painting the Whittles, so feel free to check that out too. But it'll pick up some of those little facets, and that may be all you need, type of thing. So there we go. But if you want to, you can kind of come in here and start putting little lines. I like to start off kind of like so, sort of straight, and then slowly begin to angle them as you go around the head or the eye. If you have a V-gouge, you can certainly grab that now, and you can kind of see. And we're just forming a little bit of area that we can call the you can paint as the eyebrow. Sometimes I'll notch out the ends on the top of where they meet the forehead. It just looks like it's, again, kind of crazy hair that's splitting and going all over the place. So there you go. It's kind of like that. We're forming a bit of a texture in the eyebrow area that will kind of read as hair. And I kind of, you know, that's definitely one way to go about it. And then, you know, maybe take this side down just a bit. There you go. So you can kind of see how easy that is to do. These are all, take it step by step. Don't overlook or overwhelm yourself with thinking, you know, looking at it all in one shot and say, oh, I got to do this. How do I go about it? We just went about it step by step. So I think if you approach it that way, you will have this down, and you'll have no problem. Other thing I like to do is you know, you can come in here and start adding a bit of bags under the eye. And the way I do that a lot of times is I'll just put a line, like maybe like right, kind of like in here, and here. Sometimes it helps to, you know, draw it in first. I'm using this, I know you can barely see it here, and then just kind of work your knife around. Creates a little bit more of a bagginess under the eye. And then when you paint it, if you're painting these, you can paint the baggy area, add a little dark color to it, make it look like a bit of a dark circle under the eye. That's all. Not a lot, but just, you know, just enough to bring that out. It adds a little bit more uniqueness to it. You can also come in here and put little crow's feet if you want. Just basically put a line down from where the eyelids kind of come together. You can kind of see right there. Just put a little line. It doesn't have to be too big. Notch up to it, notch down to it, and then come back just above it and do the same thing. Just a little bit. And when you paint it, I know you can barely see, but when you paint it, it'll show up a little bit better. So you can kind of see how we did the eye pretty easy there. I like to come in here on the sides and sort of bring this area in just a little bit. This, you know, the temple area on your head is just a little bit indented in that area. Just kind of come around here, pull those little cut marks you made together, and there we go. That wasn't all that hard, I don't think. Again, I believe most people can handle that and do that, and you get yourself a figure with a bit of an eye, a little bagginess under there, puffiness, you know, however you want to do it. You don't have to put any of this in. You can go about it any way you want. And then too, just so you know, like if the wood looks a little bit choppy in some spots, if you oil it up, a lot of times it's just because the wood is really dry right now, and it might look a little, you know, little frayed pieces and what have you. But if you you can test it out by wetting it up, and you'll see how it kind of tightens the wood up and cleans it up a bit. And you'll do the same thing when you oil it up. You can do it after you paint it. You can do it, you know, beforehand, or excuse me, beforehand. But if you're not painting it, you can just oil it up, and you'll see. So that's really about it. What I'm gonna do here is just I will oil this up for you, you know, to some extent, just to give you a look, to see what it all looks like when it's done. But we pretty much finished everything in here. What you could do, I'm just looking at these eyeballs and maybe rounding. Yeah, this is what I do. I go back when I'm done and I kind of just try to clean up a piece, kind of clean it up a bit. What you could do was with a pencil. I wouldn't recommend doing a Sharpie, but just darken that edge right in there. Can you kind of see that? Because that's going to be the dividing part between this is your eyelash, your eyelid, your eyeball. Same thing over here. Just kind of come with your pencil. And when you paint it, if you do a wash type of paint on there, the pencil mark may still come through a bit, or you can re-enhance it. And you can kind of see now, it almost looks like you know, like the little hair from eyelashes. I wouldn't overdo it on a male character. I wouldn't go under here and do it on the lower lid. You could. I don't know if I like that look. It looks too much like mascara to me. And if you're doing male characters, you know, well, yeah, maybe some people want that. Personally, it's not something I'm looking for, but it might be the look. And certain guys do have very dark lower eyelid hair. So, you know, if you want to experiment with that, by all means, give it a shot. But that way, you can kind of see, and then when you come in here and when you do your eye, the other thing to keep in mind, if you're going to paint it, then what I would recommend is that in the eye itself, when you're showing the, you don't go, maybe you start with a dot for the iris itself, you know, here and here, like that. But then when you're painting in here, you want to kind of make this these semicircles. You want to make your cornea, or the color part of your eye, is not fully exposed. It makes it look like it's bug-eyed if you do it like that. But if you do it like this, where it sort of tucks underneath the lower and upper eyelid, it just looks more realistic. You can see like that. And with that, we have pretty much done the whole head here. I'm just going to finish putting the eyelashes in here, and then I'll be right back. Okay, there you go. I kind of finished everything up here. We did the eyes in this tutorial, and you can see they're not all that. It wasn't all that complicated to do. I think if you take it step by step, you'll be able to manage it. They're pretty simple eyes to do for the most part. But they read pretty good in general. I mean, there are definitely ways to do more detailed eyes, and plenty of tutorials out there. But this will get you started. I'll give you one way, and then you can explore modifications of that to your liking. I just added a bit of wrinkles to the forehead. When I do these, I'll come in here and I'll just put little notches, little stop cuts, and then I come back over the edges and I just whittle the edge, the end of that line down a bit, just to soften it a bit more. And then I might even go over the top just a little bit, and then even the whole face, just to make it read more like skin, I guess, to some extent. I'll soften all the curves. I'll even, if I leave little small textures and roundness to it, to me it just looks more, reads more as a face, as skin on a face. So you try out different ways and to your liking. But anyway, we started this series a few weeks back. We did the nose. Then we did the mouth. I showed you a couple different ways to do the mouth. You can make it more simplistic, or you can add a little bit more detail by adding this bit of a lower lip. I added that crazy cleft chin in there. You don't have to do that, of course. Then we did the eyes. I showed them. I angled mine up just slightly. I don't know. Sometimes I like doing it like that. It gives it an interesting look. But you can angle them downward more, straight across. You can do the eyebrows differently. You can make them less bushy than I did. Again, I like to add all that kind of little detail. I think it adds interest and makes the character fun to look at. But give it a shot. These are simple little whittles. We started with a block of wood that was 3 3/4 inches long, cut to 1.5 inches square. if you practice on a few pieces. If you mess up on one side, flip it around and work on the back side. That's all. Just practice this a little bit. You don't have to follow my methods exactly. Watch other tutorials. There's plenty of other ways to do it, to modify what you've seen me do, and give it a shot. If you're interested in whittling and you're interested in whittling the face and eventually the whole figure, this is a good way to start learning that, because obviously when you get the face done, and if you mess it up, so what? Like I said, it's a block of wood. We started with a block of wood that was purchased from one of those big box hobby stores, so they're easy to come by for the most part. And we did it all with one knife. This is a medium-sized knife from North Bay Forge that I modified slightly. It's 1.25 inches long, and I consider that a medium-sized knife. Anywhere from maybe 1.5 inches to 1 inch is a medium-sized knife to me, and you can certainly make do with that on a whittle like this. So anyway, I'll have links in the description for all sorts of more deep other tutorials that I've done on the nose and the eyes and the mouth, and how I sharpen my knife and all that kind of fun stuff. So if you're interested in any of that, check the links down below in the description section. And really, that'll be it for me. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this little series, and I hope you did find it useful. And if not, that's understandable too. But I hope you all have a great whittling week. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.